What's up, everybody? Hope you're still doing well out there with all the craziness going on. Going to talk about a variety of formats and music today. First, it's going to probably be hard to see with the way this artwork is, but this is To Crown All Defilement by Dearth, Dearth. The artwork, everything is very black with this release, obviously. It's playing in the background, trying to show you what is on the inside, but it's so black and gray. Hard to show you. Kind of straight up death metal. Some of these songs are 5 and 6 minutes long with not a ton of variety, which wears a little thin with me. There's like one song that's 3 or 4 minutes long. This is out on Sentient Ruin Records, I believe. Reviewed them or their label before. Sorry for the glare. They're out of Oakland. Yeah, it's good, but I don't need a 6-minute song, a 6-minute death metal song that's just straight death metal, right? There's no variety really. Just a few tempo changes here and there, but nothing that really stands out to me. But it's solid if you just want straight up death metal. Dearth. Take care of that. Next up, I'm going to be listening to Infernal Death. I think this is a self-released album. It's got that's the classic scene from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's also on the back there. That's next up in the queue to listen to. It's only, I think, 4 songs. Ooh, 4 songs. So I listened to it once in the car, but I was kind of distracted. So spend some time with that here next week or so. Some stuff I've listened to and got through recently. Death Posture by Caustic out on Profound Lore Records. Kind of graphic artwork there. This is a grind band, I believe primarily out of Canada, up in Ontario. Your typical grind, black and white artwork all across the board, inside and out, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you expect out of your grind band. There are members from Cerebral Rot, Magruder Grind, Fetid, all great bands. So if you're fans of those bands, you take those, throw them in a blender. You've got a great grind album here. Doesn't wear out its welcome, unlike what I told you here. These guys know the sweet spot in songs, 1 to 2 minutes for grind. That's all you need. So yeah, if you're a grind head, no pun intended, heads, check out Caustic Wound. Good stuff. Been a lot of talk about this album recently in the blogs I've read. Next up from Portugal, we have Alone by Oak. This is a mini box set I got. You can see the nice gold embossed type artwork there. They put a bunch of crap in here, and it's really unnecessary at this point in time. First off, I mean, it's cool, but they give you a poster that comes like this, which is just the album art. I mean, it's cool and all, but the material of the papers, I mean, what am I going to do with this? I could use it as a placemat or something. You can't frame it. You can't really hang it on the wall with all these folds, but, you know, whatever. I'm not going to complain about it. You get the CD version of the album. You get an autographed piece of paper. I should say paper. It's thick cardboard. It's got both members' autographs on it. You get a magnet for your fridge to hold up your report card. A button. I guess some people still wear buttons. And a patch for your jean jacket. But the music itself, Death Doom. These guys, there's only 4 songs on here. It's out on also Transcending Obscurity, a great label that I get a lot of stuff from, even though it's overseas. It's kind of a doomy death, but not like funeral doom. It's slow, plodding, well produced. Kind of reminds me of more, I don't want to say up-tempo, but for lack of a better term, I like it evoking, but up-tempo, with some more faster parts thrown in for point of reference there. So check it out. I'll link it below. It's a solid release. I'm not that familiar with Oak, but after hearing this release and the artwork on this is fantastic as well. I don't know. It looks almost like there's some weird monster back here in the background, which I just noticed, but it also looks like there's mountains, so I don't know. But yeah, good stuff out of Portugal. Switching gears a little bit, actually a lot. This is the debut from Tessie Lou Williams. This is traditional country music. This is self-titled and self-released. Not much to the packaging, which is good. You know, it's a woman and her guitar, so what more do you need to know there? But songs like You're Forever, We'll Never Say Goodbye, Why Do I Still Want You, things of that nature, or songs of that nature, just heartbreaking country music. If you like, trying to draw some comparisons, I've talked about Emily Scott Robinson and some others here on this channel. This is not for, if you're like Carrie Underwood and shit like that, don't bother. This is traditional country music. As those of you that follow my channel probably have gathered, I'm not a fan of traditional, or I should say of modern country music. And when people that are going to do traditional country music primarily write their own stuff, put out stuff, I try to support them any way I can. You can buy this right off of her website. She's not getting a lot of hype right now. I've heard about her in some of the underground country press, but mainstream country doesn't even talk about her, and that's because she's not part of the big Nashville machine. But she's out of Texas, but she moved to Nashville to kind of start her career, and she had a huge case of she had stage fright really bad as a kid. Her mom and dad were performers and singers, and the whole family kind of grew up doing that, but it scared her to death, and she finally overcame that, so she should be performing live once all this COVID shit calms down. She did a song by Webb Pierce on here too, Pathway of Teardrops. Did a great version of that. Webb Pierce, old country guy that you all should be familiar with if you're not already. So I think it's $10, maybe 15. I think it was 10 though on her website. So all the proceeds and all the money goes straight to her, which is good. So check her out. Next up, if you are a death metal fan, you are familiar already with Exhumed and probably Gruesome. Matt Harvey, both Matt Harvey projects. I'm more of a fan of Exhumed than Gruesome. To me, Gruesome just feels kind of sloppy. I don't know. That's probably a bad word to describe them, but cool looking vinyl. I was very impressed by this color. I don't know what Relapse actually calls this color. It's all kinds of shit, but very cool looking. Not much to see here on the insert. Just, what is it, 3 songs from Exhumed and 2 from Gruesome. Exhumed, more straight up death metal with horror themed lyrics. To me, Buried to Die, the second song on side 2, or side 1 is the best. Or side Gore, I should say, and then side Death was the other side for Gruesome instead of A and B. The Gruesome side, the songs are a little longer, but the songs just kind of seem to be all over the place. Matt Harvey's in both bands. This came out in 2020. This one's limited to 300 copies. Huge Exhumed fan. I've talked about them before. Matt Harvey's a lifer in the death metal scene, and I try to support everything he does. So if you are an Exhumed fan, you like just straight up death metal, this is worth the price of admission just for side Gore. Side Death, just consider those kind of bonus tracks, in my opinion. Next up, we have another split, but this is a split 7-inch from Suicide and Cemetery Filth. This doesn't really have a name, it's just a split. It came with a cool little sticker, back, The song, the best side, so Suicide has one song. They're out of Australia. And then Cemetery Filth has two songs. And the Service for a Vacant Coffin is an autopsy song, an autopsy cover. Just straight up black vinyl, nothing really to show here. The insert has some lyrics, some art. There's the Suicide. I keep saying Suicide. Cemetery Filth. Cemetery Filth is out of Atlanta, Georgia, I believe. This came out on Unspeakable Acts Records, and Acts is A-X-E, not A-C-T-S. More death metal. I've been mentioning short and sweet. This is perfect length for death metal for me sometimes. 3 songs, 10 to 12 minutes. I don't know if I'm getting old or what, but sometimes death metal, I have to be in the mood to listen to death metal sometimes. I don't know what it is. It didn't used to be that way, but maybe I've just been inundating myself with death metal these days, but it's just, I don't know. It's got to really blow my mind, it seems, to pull me in. I've been listening to more like dungeon synth and keyboard-driven music and some pop stuff and country. I've been focusing my mind on that more than death metal lately. It takes a lot for me to pull the trigger and actually buy a physical product here. But this is a good release, great artwork. Highly recommend it if you just want a nice quick dose of death metal. Yeah, good stuff. Included with it too, I thought this was kind of funny. I know Unspeakable Acts does this a lot with ours, but they have this 8x10. It's like a headshot thing, like what actors do. Kind of like a promo photo you send out. But what I thought was kind of funny is when I got this release, it obviously came with this photo, and at around the same time, leading in the next release, you'll notice this guy has a Disincarnate shirt on, Dreams of the Carrion Kind cover, and I think 2 days after I got that, this came in the mail. The stars align. Very weird. This is Disincarnate. Dreams of the Carrion Kind, classic 90s death metal album. James Murphy, you all probably have heard his name mentioned throughout the 90s. This is a reissue, a double vinyl reissue. I'll talk about that here in a second. Red vinyl, very fitting for death metal. This is more, this is to me when death metal, this is one of the first kind of technical playing death metal albums that I listened to, and I really wasn't into it in the 90s. I was more into kind of thrash, straight up death metal, obituary, stuff like that, more where's the riff, here it is, okay, great, let's ride this out for a few minutes and move on to the next song. And Disincarnate was the first band to really challenge my ears when it came to death metal. Kind of like Death, they threw some weird harmonies and some technicality in there where it's like, wow, these guys can really play their instruments. So it is a classic. The double vinyl thing I don't really get, and maybe it's because it wouldn't fit on one record. I haven't done the timing math on it, but side D, which is the fourth side, is just 3 demo songs. I really don't need to hear a demo version of a song on vinyl. It sounds awful. I don't know why bands think that's, or labels I should say, it probably wasn't up to the label out on, by the way, listenable. Originally Roadrunner. I just putting demo versions of songs, basically guys with a 4-track in their house or something, and you're going to put that on a vinyl record. I get nothing out of it. I get they probably just had to fill space, but I'm sure they could have figured something else out. Even live versions of stuff might have been better than this. But James Murphy's played on a lot of classic death metal albums. Some you may not even know of. Some you might. Death Shall Rise by Cancer, one of my favorites. Spiritual Healing by Death. He played on Cause of Death by Obituary. He's been in a lot of other bands. Great guitar player. Very underrated. He doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion, in the death metal circles, and neither does this album. So if you've never heard Disincarnate and you're a death metal fan, this one has probably flown under your radar, and it is highly recommended. One of my favorite death metal albums of all time. So that's it for this edition. I've got some cassettes and CDs to talk about. Tomorrow is Record Store Day. I went through the list and I didn't see a ton of metal releases, which is kind of disappointing. It seems like metal used to be a big deal for metal on Record Store Day, and I would actually stand in line to get stuff if it was even available. But don't know how it's going to work this year. I know my local place is having markers 6 feet apart. They're only allowing so many people in the store at a time. They're limiting the amount of vinyl you can buy. So the lines are probably going to be a lot longer, and it's going to take a lot longer to get what you want. So you have to weigh that out and see if it's something you really want to do. Maybe different where you're at. I'm in a state that's probably more strict than others, but so go to Record Store Day, have fun, chill out, relax. Don't get in a hurry if you've ever gone to Record Store Day. It's more about the experience than getting in and getting out, right? You can talk to people in line about what they're after and whatnot. So if there are some metal releases I missed, let me know in the comments. But that's it for today. Check you guys out very soon. Have a good one.